Do you know any Muslims or do you know any Arabs? Because people say to me, Carl, they're terrorists. I mean, don't you know they're terrorists? I mean, these are my friends you're talking about. These are my best friends in the world. They're wonderful people. Yeah, but Carl, they live in the 12th century. They don't have freedom of speech. They don't have democracy. They make their women walk 10 steps behind them. And of course, like, all partial truths, I mean, there is some partial truth. And so, do we need to help them with these things? Of course. Jesus gives an interesting teaching there that I think applies in this case. It's the log and the speck. And so do our Arab Muslim friends have specks in their eyes or maybe even logs in their eyes? I think they do. But we have logs in our eyes, so we can't see their speck to help take it out. I actually think Jesus' point was we should help take out the speck of our neighbor or our friend or brother's eye. We should take that speck out, but we can't help do that little minor surgery if we have a log in our eye. So what are the logs in our eyes? I mean, it's gang warfare, it's violence, it's shooting in schools, it's pornography, it's high divorce rate, it's shipping your kids off and not having close family values. All these things, Arabs look at us, look at the Christian West or Christian America as they would see it, and they can't differentiate what's Christian and what's America, or what's Christian and what's West, or what's following Jesus, or what's just the culture of Christianity. They can't differentiate all that like we can't with them either. And so they just kind of write us off as having logs in our eyes. So I would just say, we do. Let's admit that. Let's be honest. And let's do some surgery on our own eye and on our own hearts. And then we can see the Arab people and the Muslim people for how wonderful they are, how hospitable, how beautiful they are, how in many ways they're Christ-like. It's very much like Jesus in that culture. So let's maybe put into practice that principle that Jesus taught of the log and the eye, and then we'll see them in a different way. Another thing a lot of people will say to me is, doesn't the Quran teach violence? So in a sense, as harsh as this is to say, to be a good Muslim really is to be like Osama bin Laden. I mean, bin Laden was working out what the Quran teaches. I mean, that's not true.
In Quran, it tells me, you will find the closest people to you are those who are called Christians. Quran orders me to have peace with the Christians. Quran orders me to debate with them in the best way. Quran orders me to treat them better than I treat myself.
I don't know if you've read the Bible. I'm sure you have. I've read it cover to cover lots of times. I love the Bible. I love it from the very beginning, Genesis 1 to the end, Revelation 22. I love the Old Testament. I love the stories. I'm a historian, so I kind of gravitate actually to the Old Testament in many ways and to the life of Jesus. I love the historical parts of the scriptures. I mean, Joshua and Judges, oh my goodness. I mean, talk about violence. It's God telling Israel to kill every man, woman, and child and all the animals. But we understand how to contextualize that. So we would never say, well, that's okay to do today. We understand that. 99.9% of Muslims understand the Quran doesn't mean you can kill any Jew or pagan, infidel, wherever you find them. They know that was a specific command at a specific time, actually in a specific battle. Now, the bad ones, the Osama bin Ladens, can take that out of context and use it, and they do use it. But I mean, think about the Crusades. I mean, it's hard for us to remember or accept that those were Christians. The 1200s, 1100s, 1200s, 1300s, for a couple hundred years there, Christians were marching off to the Holy Land, killing whoever was in their way. Christians, often even other Christians, Jews and Muslims, of course. And so, again, we just have to remember that Jesus asked us to be honest with ourselves, keep taking the logs out of our own eye, and then we can see our Arab friends, our Muslim friends, neighbors, even if they're enemies, by the way. Even if you think Muslim Arabs are our enemies, Jesus has still got us, doesn't he? I mean, he says love your enemies. So whether they're brothers or neighbors or enemies, we're still called to love them. And I think when we do that, we take the log out of our own eye, we're honest with our own history, with our own book, and don't accuse them of things that they're actually probably not thinking anyway. We can see Jesus in them and then love them like Jesus loves them.